Hi friends, welcome back to Inktober Tangles 2025. I'm Martha and I'm going to be leading you through drawing the Middleton tangle. As always, I'll be walking you through two versions. First, we'll start out with a very simple variation of the tangle and then move on to one that's a little bit more complex. So to start us out with the basic version of this tangle, I'm using a bijou tile and a black Pigma Micron 01 pen. I've added 4 dots to the tile and I'm now connecting them with a line to create a border. I'm now going to divide that space in half, one direction and then the opposite direction, so that there are 4 boxes. At the inside corner of each of those boxes, I'm going to draw another smaller square or box. And so it appears that there's a square in the middle of the tile. From that small square, I'm going to draw up and around. I'm drawing an aura inside of this larger box or square. And you might be saying, well, why are you saying box, Martha? Is it box or square? You know, it's just like when we talk about orbs in Zentangle, we use the word orb instead of circle because there sometimes is you know, uh, this idea of perfection when we're trying to draw a circle, as opposed to when we say orb, it kind of takes that pressure off to draw something exact. So, you know, if I say box here, it's to kind of alleviate that pressure of having to feel like you have to draw a perfectly geometric square. Inside the 4 small squares or boxes at the center of the tile, I am drawing smaller ones inside. A lot of repetition of these squares in this tangle or these boxes. I'm now going to be connecting 3 points of these squares to 1 point at the opposite corner. And as a middle school art teacher, I am reminded of perspective drawings that I do with my students. So I'm drawing from each of the corners, and then they are all meeting at the outside opposite corner. Kind of gives the illusion of depth here. It also looks like a star. And now we have more boxes, more squares, and these will be filled in with solid ink. Adding a few more diagonal lines here from the corner of that small square that was just drawn to that inside corner. And now I'm going to fill in these triangular shapes with some parallel lines. I'm going all the way down to the corner. I'm always turning my tile here, whatever is the more comfortable position, so you don't have to make your hand or arm or shoulder uncomfortable. And for the shading, I'm coming in here with my graphite pencil and adding some graphite on either side of these points of the star, these four corners, these 4 points. And then some graphite around the edge of this square or box that's at the center of the tile. And then finally, a little bit of graphite around the small black squares. Just taking my tortillon and blending that graphite in and softening it up to add a little bit of dimension to this simple but lovely tangle. And there we go, simple version of the Middleton Tangle. So Inktober Tangles 2025, and this is day 18. For a little bit more of a complex version, I'm going to be using a regular Zentangle tile, and I've added 4 corner dots, and I'm now connecting them together to create a border with my graphite pencil. I'm now adding some kind of guide points at the top and bottom, and then I'll also be doing the same on the side. So I start with a dot in the middle, and then I add 2 dots to the left and right sides. So 1, 2, there's a third in the middle, 4, 5. So 5 dots, again, 1 in the middle and 2 on either side. Using my Pigma Micron 01 pen in black, I'm now going to trace over that border. And then I'm going to connect a few of the lines, not all of them. So watch carefully here. I'm connecting the top 2 and the bottom 2. So I have these 2 very long rectangles. And then I'm going to turn my tile and do the same thing across. Turn it again and do it again. So we've created kind of like this picture frame. And I'm now drawing a line across the very middle, turning the tile, and then doing the same thing going the opposite direction. And now on the outside edge, I am dividing up the larger of the rectangle areas. And there should be a guide point there that we drew earlier in pencil. And so you should have 6 squares going across each side. Inside these 4 larger squares, I am drawing 4 smaller squares, and you're going to start to see the Middleton tangle show up in just a minute. Inside each of those small squares that were just drawn, I'm worrying and adding another small square. So now inside we have some L shapes, and I'm going to be drawing an aura inside of these L shapes. Take your time and press pause, and I will meet you at the next step when you are done. Across the L shape, I'm going to draw 3 diagonal lines to the inside corner. So 1, 2, and 3. And inside the small box, adding a smaller square, a smaller box, and then connecting the corner to the other corner with a diagonal line. So small square and then corner to corner with a diagonal line. And for me, I feel like it starts to play tricks on my eyes here. I can't tell if I'm looking into something or almost like these are long, like square straws that are all going down to the middle of the paper. like, like what I'm coloring right now is that the inside of this kind of long tube, if you will. It's a square tube, but it's a tube nonetheless. And now for some parallel lines. These are going to go in the triangular shapes that are flanking these, what I'm calling these tubes or straws. It's nice to have kind of a something to break up all of this white space here. So we have a little bit of a different texture with these lines. All right, so I've zoomed in here so you can see a little bit better. I'm, guess what? Adding more squares. I am at the corner here, and the three squares at the corner, I'm adding a square in their kind of inner corner, the inside corner there. So all of them are touching. They're kind of creating this L shape or this little corner around the corner. And then for the two squares in the middle of the border, I'm adding some smaller squares there as well. And they are touching in the middle, connected on one side. And I'm now going to aura in those L shapes all around the border. So go ahead and take your time here. There are 20 little squares to aura the L shapes in. So just enjoy it. Remember to keep turning that tile, and I will meet you when you are ready for the next step. Inside the small squares in the border, I'm adding, you guessed it, smaller squares. And now to connect those corners of the small squares to the opposite corner to give that feel of perspective. Still here at the border, add smaller squares, fill them with black ink or whatever color ink you're using, and then connect the opposite corner with a line. So filling in and then connecting with a diagonal. You'll do the same thing here, these side squares. Add small squares, fill them in with black ink, and then connect them with a diagonal line. And now for those parallel lines that add a little bit of texture here to the tangle. So the Middleton tangle, I did it 4 times in the center as a large square, as 4 large squares, and then each one of these little squares, I think there's 20 going all the way around, is also a Middleton tangle. And what I had fun doing was when I was planning this one out, deciding which way the little tiny border ones would be turned. And I played around with all different ways. And I know it's intense, it's a lot, but I really kind of got into the layout, the design, kind of the engineering of this one, which was really fun. You know, yesterday's tangle was very organic, and so it is nice to change it up from day to day. I think that's one of my favorite things about Inktober Tangles. All right, time to add some graphite. Get a little shading on here. So going around each of the kind of tube-like shapes and then adding some graphite around the black squares. And I'm going to do the same thing to the very small Middleton tangles here in the border. And then blending it in with the tortillon to soften up all those edges. This tangle already has enough angles and lines in it, so I think the shading is really important here, kind of soften everything up. All right, and that is my pretty intense version of a Middleton tangle. If you stuck with me, awesome. And if you didn't, maybe you'll try it another time when you're feeling more geometric. So Inktober Tangles, it is day 18, and the tangle is the Middleton tangle. Thank you again, everyone, for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for day 19. All right, have a good one.